The Lord be with you. As we gather for our collective worship today, we're going to think about change. I wonder if you can think of a time in your life when things were about to change in a big way. A change just around the corner, perhaps. Maybe one you can do nothing about. Something out of your control. And whether you liked it or not, this change was going to happen. It might be that you were preparing to move house, or perhaps you were coming to a new school or a new class. And the change was going to mean leaving behind the people and places that made you feel safe and special and at ease. I wonder how that would make you feel. Maybe you were anxious or nervous. But although it's natural to be wary of change, we need to remember that change can also be an opportunity to feel excited. New friends, new places, new situations. It can be such a mixed bag of emotions when we face a change. So I want you to listen to a story now about Noah. God was about to impose a big change on the entire world. God had shared his plan with Noah, and he'd chosen Noah and his family to lead the way and make sure everything was going to happen as God needed it to. Noah was going on the greatest journey of his life, leaving everything behind, and he wasn't sure how he felt about all these changes. Sometimes he felt excited, sometimes anxious. Sometimes he felt completely out of his depth and confused as to why God had chosen him. And I'd like you to help me to tell this story. So when I hold up this saw, I want you to make a sawing noise. When I hold up this hammer, I want you to make a banging noise. Bang, bang, bang. When I hold up these animals, I'd like you to make animal noises, whichever one you like. Oink, oink, bah, moo. Okay? Only very briefly each time, or we'll never get through the story. And then when I say rain and hold up this picture, we'll go pitter-patter, pitter-patter. And finally, at the end, when I hold up a dove, perhaps you'd go coo, coo. And the rainbow, well, maybe just make a rainbow shape with your hands. Okay, very straightforward images, and hopefully it's going to be straightforward to make those noises. But keep listening to the story. Don't get so carried away with the noises that you miss it. Okay? Are we ready? God spoke to Noah and said, I want you to build a big boat. It needs to be big enough for you and all your family, as well as having room for 2 of every kind of animal. Bah! Noah set about God's plan. He went and got himself an enormous pile of wood, the biggest bucket of nails you could ever imagine, a big saw, and an even bigger hammer. Bang, bang, bang. When God shared his plan with Noah, Noah knew that his life was going to change forever. And although that made him sad, he soon accepted that this was what God wanted him to do. It was a huge task, so he asked his sons to help him. Shem set to work cutting the wood with the big saw. His son Ham was a big lad, so he set to work with his big hammer. Bang, bang, bang. And they made sure that they built in accordance with God's plan. The noise at Noah's house was incredible. The sound of the tools and the sound of the animals. It all joined together to make one huge racket. And after the first week of working on the ark, Noah took some time to think about their achievements. Although he'd been rather nervous about the responsibility that God had given him and anxious about the changes this would bring, Noah was relieved that it was all going so well, especially considering this was the first ark they had ever built. The next day it was back into the routine of work. Shem on the saw, Ham on the hammer, bang, bang, bang. And Japheth looking for even more animals. Oink, oink. The work seemed to go on for ages, but eventually it stopped. And all you could hear were the animals. Quack, quack. Noah was very pleased. They'd succeeded in their task, and just in time. Noah felt the first spot of rain fall on his nose. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter, pitter-patter. In fact, it rained, pitter-patter, 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 and it rained. The rain got heavier and heavier. It was quite a task. They had to get all those animals into the ark quickly. Bah! But they did it. Noah was relieved that the ark was big enough for his family, all the animals, as well as the food and water they would need. And as Noah shut the door, it rained and it rained for 40 whole days and nights without stopping. Pitter-patter, 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 until the whole world was flooded. Finally, it stopped, and Noah opened a window. He sent a dove, coo, coo, to see if it could find any dry land. But when the dove returned, coo, coo, Noah realised it was still pretty wet out there. The flood waters eventually began to drain away, and a few days later, Noah sent the dove out again. Coo, coo. And this time, the dove came back with an olive branch, and Noah knew it was safe to open the door. So Noah released all the animals. Hey! He looked up into the sky and he saw a beautiful rainbow. The rainbow was a sign from God, promising that he would never flood the earth again. And after it was all over, there had been so many changes. Noah thought about how anxious and nervous he had been, but now he could see that everything was going to be all right. Well, I'm going to light a candle now, and I want you to think, as you look at the candle light, of the changes that have already happened in your life, just really quietly, thinking to yourself. Think about the times when you felt anxious and nervous about change. And also the excitement and the anticipation of what changes can bring, all the good things and the new opportunities. I'm going to say a short prayer now. So let's get ready to pray. Put your hands down somewhere comfortable. You might like to look at the candle. You might like to close your eyes. I'm going to pray, and if you'd like to make it your own, please say Amen at the end. Dear Lord, help us to understand that worrying doesn't stop changes happening, but can make us feel frightened and insecure. Help us to see that changes can often bring new and exciting opportunities. And although we feel unsettled at first, if we adapt to our new circumstances, they soon become part of our everyday routine and bring us fresh joy, fresh friends, and a new way of life. Amen. Bye-bye.